Months after the Taliban's takeover, Afghanistan is in crisis. Millions of people are facing starvation, the healthcare system is collapsing, and wages are plummeting. As Afghans struggle to meet basic needs, they are being pushed to take desperate measures, including child labor and child marriage. News reports have also surfaced of children being sold. But the de facto rulers are engaged in exhibiting their power. Videos of Taliban training centers are emerging in public domain. A report.
Viral videos on social media are highlighting the level of food insecurity in Afghanistan. People could be seen desperately clamoring for bread being distributed on road. Millions of people in the war-torn country are facing an unprecedented crisis. The deepening economic crisis is affecting all levels of Afghan society, but it is hitting harder on the most vulnerable. Every day, daily workers could be seen waiting on Kabul streets for someone to hire them. People in Afghanistan are selling their children and their body parts in order to feed their families. On one hand, people are losing their hope of survival. On the other hand, videos of graduating Taliban soldiers emerging on social media. The Taliban are spending more on new troops, yet do not have money for Afghans. It would be unwise to expect sensibility from the Taliban, but those who can help common Afghans need to play their role now. The international community must find ways to spare the Afghan people from the impact of the decision to halt development support.
You see, Taliban has been a fighting force all along. And at this stage, they need to learn how to govern. And that has been their major challenge. Now, as we know, that there are large number of groups, because Taliban is also not a homogeneous entity. And therefore, what we see is that there are many challenges that it is facing. It is still waiting for recognition from the world. It is also hoping that it will continue to receive the funding that has been committed so that it can also provide relief to the people. But till then, the more and more people will get disenchanted, and therefore, in order to keep them under control, it needs to refurbish its training programs, its forces.
The first step in any meaningful humanitarian response must be to halt the death spiral of the Afghan economy. Without that, even the best funded and most effective aid operation will not save the people of Afghanistan from an unimaginable future. As the world focuses its attention on the war in Ukraine, the United Nations has reminded the international community to remember Afghanistan, to save the lives and livelihoods of those in the landlocked country. There is an urgent need for restoring international support to the people of Afghanistan.
But the problem is that now with the Russia-Ukraine crisis, obviously the focus on Afghanistan or any other war is much less. And that is the pity of it all. And this has been often mentioned by our leadership as well. That they create problems and then they leave them. And that is not good. So Taliban is today looking for some kind of engagement with the world powers, especially with the major powers and the neighboring powers. But what we are seeing is if they are not addressed well quickly, we'll be seeing them totally going into the Chinese hands. And that may not be very good for the region and for the world.
Taliban leaders should understand that to engage with the world community, they have to show they are not having the same ideology. They need to respect the basic human rights of common Afghans. Recently, Washington, D.C.-based non-profit organization organized a congressional briefing and podium discussion on the topic banning of Afghan women's education and other human rights violations under the Taliban. The attendees requested the international community and USA to pressurize the Taliban to let the girls go to school.
We are having a program regarding human rights violations in Afghanistan, and we wanted to raise our voice and ask the American government to pressurize the Taliban to allow Afghan girls to be able to go back to their schools and end to the atrocities that are happening in Afghanistan.
Tens of thousands of Afghans have fled or have been evacuated, including large numbers of educated elites. To save their country, the de facto rulers need to guarantee the